Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Engineering Textbook. So our today's topic of discussion is control valves. As we studied in our previous two videos of hydraulic system and pneumatic system, the control valve is one of the component of both the system. So let's start our video. Here the pump pressurizes the hydraulic oil. The oil flows to the hydraulic actuator. Actuator perform the useful work. This is the general layout of the hydraulic system. But when the pressurized oil with full of hydraulic energy travel towards the actuator, it must be controlled to suit the requirement of actuator. To suit the requirement, we attach one valve in between pump and the actuator, and that valve is known as control valves. So let's see what are the different types of control valves which is used to control the pressurized fluid of the hydraulic system. So our first control valve is direction control valve. It is also known as DCV. So as name indicates, direction control, it controls the direction of fluid flow in the hydraulic system. Direction control valve has total number of three functions. First, it stops the fluid flow, it allows the fluid flow, and lastly, it changes the direction of the fluid flow. These are the functions of direction control valve. Types of direction control valve: check valve, shuttle valve, two-way, three-way, and four-way valve. So these are the different types of direction control valve. So let's see what exactly the direction control valve is. Let's say we have to pump oil to this cylinder. So the oil from the oil tank passes to the filter and the filter oil is passes to the pump. The pump increases the pressure of oil and further transfer to the cylinder. But first, let's talk about the cylinder. Cylinder has two ports. So, how to control the oil coming from the pump to the cylinder? I mean, how to know from which port the oil will travel first and which port the oil will travel secondly. So, this is done by the direction control valve. So direction control valve consists of three ports. Port P is inlet port of the valve. Port A and port B is the outlet and return port. So let's consider case 1. The hydraulic oil from the pump will flow from port P to port B and to the cylinder. The piston will move upward. During this stroke, oil from the other side of the piston will return to the port A just because piston has moved in upward direction. So it will move through A via R and pass to the oil tank. This was the case 1 when B is the inlet port for the cylinder. Now let's see the case 2. In the next stroke, port P will be connected to port A and the oil move the piston in downward direction. Due to piston has moved in downward direction, the oil from the other port will passes through port B to the oil tank via port R. So from these two cases, it is clear that oil must be directed first through port B and secondly through port A. and the port R will connect to the oil reservoir through the remaining valve. All this is done by direction control valve, which controls the direction of oil from pump to the cylinder. Our next valve is flow control valve. So as the name implies, flow control, it controls the flow of fluid. The main functions of flow control valves are: it saves money, become easy. When control valves are used, they help a lot in water conservation. This means the people can save money on their water and bills by using these control valves at their home, office or industry. It prevents clogging. Another great function of flow control valve is that they do not obstruct the flow of the fluid. Small particles, deposits, dust, etc. do not clog the flow of due to perfect design of these water. It saves the water. As more and more people are driving towards a great lifestyle, flow control valves are an essential part of that process. It can conserve up to 85% of water that we use. This means low demand on the water supply, especially during somewhat dry season. And the last function is ecologically friendly. Many industries today face the pressure of maintaining global and ecological standards. These valves can become ecologically friendly by decreasing the waste of natural resources and making good use of them. So let's see exactly what flow control valve is. As we see in the image, there is an oil tank, there is a pump, direction control valve and a cylinder piston arrangement. And a flow control valve is attached between direction control valve and the cylinder piston arrangement. So let's see why it is attached here. When the oil from the oil tank to the pump from DCV will enters through port A to the cylinder with a certain linear speed 6 meter per minute, the piston will move from left to in right direction when the oil flows from port A in 6 meter per minute. Suppose, let's say we have to increase this speed from 6 meter per minute to 7 meter per minute. So how can we achieve this speed? So the answer to this question is by admitting more quantity of fluid from port A to this cylinder so that the piston will move in faster. To admit additional hydraulic oil, we have to use the valve which is known as flow control valve. These valves control the flow of the hydraulic oil. So we can achieve the 6 meter per minute to 7 meter per minute speed. Our next valve is pressure control valve. As the name implies, pressure control, it controls the pressure of the fluid. There are three types of pressure control valve: pressure relief valve, counterbalance valve and sequence valve. So let's see construction of pressure control valve. Here there is a oil tank with a pump, DCV, flow control valve, cylinder piston arrangement, and in between oil tank and DCV there is a pressure control valve attached here. So let's see why it is attached here. The pump creates higher pressure. Suppose a piston pump is a hydraulic circuit creates 30 bar pressure. The actuator in the circuit, the cylinder piston arrangement also known as actuator in the circuit, can operate at 20 bar pressure. Then we must reduce the oil pressure from 30 bar to 20 bar for that particular actuator. This clearly means we have to control the pressure of oil from 30 bar to 20 bar. After pump to a suitable level for the actuator. So this is done by a pressure control valve. To control the pressure and to decrease the pressure from 30 bar to 20 bar, a pressure control valve is attached. So that's all for today. In the next video, we will see these three valves in detail with their symbols.